I'm leaving to go to the draft. And I'll paint a picture for you. It's the spring of 2014, December 2013, right in there about December, January. I'm getting ready to make this decision on if I'm going to the NFL draft or I'm going to stay. And I found this out 5 years later from my dad. But my dad went and had a meeting with Kevin Sumlin and pretty much went to him man to man and was like, we'll take $3 million and we'll stay for the next 2 years. And my dad says this is true as today as he did when he told me. He left. He did the same thing that he did when Cliff Kingsbury asked him to be the highest paid offensive coordinator the year before. And Cliff would have stayed with me another year and we would have ran it back and gone for another one.
Right.
But he comes to someone, he asks him for X amount, he had this ego about him that what we built, was all him.
You said your dad went to Kevin Sumlin.
Yep.
And says for $3 million.
We're staying for 2 more.
Now, you do realize this is prior to NIL.
I agree.
So this is a backroom deal.
It went on for 30, 40 years before.
Yeah.
It was the same way that was happening when you was getting recruited back in the day.
And you guys,
Look, I say this all the time. And Jimbo Fisher, I think, said it better than anybody. It's like, we've been doing NIL for a while. Y'all just started hearing about it. I mean, I remember my father telling me stories about finding envelopes of money in his locker after games.
They misplaced mine. So.
Like it's
mine too.
Well, I
had to pay them.
I think some people think that everybody's getting $3 million like Johnny Manziel. Obviously, there's different amounts, and the bigger the school is, the more resources they have, the more they can get paid. But this uproar over players getting paid, and Mike Boynton, I'll give you a great quote. Oklahoma State's basketball coach made a fantastic point the other day when talking about recruiting. He was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a lot harder to get guys on campus when you had to recruit the old school way, which is basically you have to go in there, win the living room, and be able to keep payments on the low without anybody finding out, or the NCAA. He's like, it's easier to get them on campus now. I really don't even have to talk to him that much. I just give him a number to show up on campus, which to me makes it so much harder to build culture, because the funny part about those backroom deals and those underneath, the money that's handed underneath the table for you to go here, oh, now you have a Dodge Charger or this, that, and the other, is that it kind of brings you closer together. Because it's kind of like, it's illegal what's going on between the player and the coach. So that relationship to the player and the coach, it becomes a lot more, and I guess genuine isn't the word, but your asses are both on the line. Like it's just like anything you're doing behind closed doors that maybe you don't want people to figure out. It kind of brings you closer together. But this has been happening. This is why I always say, Cam Newton, I hope the rumors that Auburn paid $180,000 to get Cam Newton is true.
No way.
Because if that's the case, we got the best damn businessmen on the planet. That's the best deal that ever happened.
Way we got him.
That's why I tell people this has been happening forever, man.
That was to your point on how coaching has changed now with NIL. That was my question to Shane Beamer, because he's known as such a great recruiter. He recruited me back in the day to Mississippi State, and so I asked him at SEC Media Days last year, like, how much of your skill set as a recruiter do you get to use these days, or is it all just a financial decision? Which it may become even more of that if we get to a complete profit-sharing system. Now, like you said, it's not like every single kid's getting the same amount. But he basically said, yes, some kids only care about the amount of money, so it makes it easier. But he's like, I still have to go do my job, and you're still talking about 18-year-old kids who are leaving home for the first time, so I still have to go into living rooms and convince their parents that I will be a good steward of their future if they come and play football for me. So I thought he gave a great response on that. On the Johnny Manziel clip, what I find interesting is, one, for $3 million for another 2 football seasons, that's a bad deal anyway, right? Like,
I feel like he's worth more.
Well, why wouldn't you just go to the NFL? Like, his dad was going to forego another 2 years for only $3 million. His signing bonus alone would have been more than that, right?
I wonder. I'd have to go back and see where it was at that point.
He was a first-round pick, wasn't he?
I need to look at the class.
I thought Johnny was a second round.
I need to look at the class that was around him. That was my first thing, was if you're Texas A&M, $3 million for 2 more years of Johnny Manziel.
Oh, I'm paying that.
Here's the problem, though. Like, how do you hold somebody to that?
Yeah, he was the 22nd overall pick.
How do you hold somebody?
What was the signing bonus?
What if Johnny Manziel played the next year and balled out and is going to be a top 5 pick? He's not coming. What are you going to do? Call the NCAA and tell him, hey, Johnny Manziel has to stay because we paid him $3 million illegally.
$4.3 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
Like, but again, though, how do you hold Texas A&M? If you're Texas A&M, how do you hold Johnny Manziel to that? For 2 years, after the next year, if he wants to go, what do you do?
Yeah,
Who do you call? The
that's the whole problem we
Ghostbusters?
have right now.
I thought it was funny that Johnny Manziel's up here talking about somebody's ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's kind of funny.
That's a good point. Hello, YouTube. It's me, once again, your fearless sports media friend, Jay Crane. Hit that subscribe button, because if not, maybe you really are as lame as what they called you in high school.